Hello, good evening, and welcome to IRC eSports Season 6, Tier 1. This is round 2 of the season at the high-speed Baku Street Circuit in Azerbaijan. Good evening, my name is 8 Cylinders of Fury, your commentator for this evening, and I'm joined by fellow commentator and streamer Masoom. How are you doing, good sir?
Oh, I'm doing quite great. Quite excited for today's race in the street circuit of Baku. Last season we had an exciting battle, which was the race was actually dry to wets to dry back again. So we had a lot of things going for in terms of strategy, and was definitely an exciting race.
Baku is one of those street circuits where we've had a lot of street circuits over the past couple of years in Formula One. Some of them have been underwhelming, but I think it's synonymous with the F1 community that Baku really ranks as one of the most competitive street circuits, and the racing is never boring here. So I think we'll have a good race on our hands today.
Yep, I think speaking of boring racing, I think we're going to have a lot of lost front wings here. The walls are quite close to the track itself. Actually, they're even more close than how it is in real life. So I think we're going to definitely have a lot of drivers a bit hesitant to push to the limit, especially when the nerves kick in, which are not there when they really put in the practice.
That is true, yeah. I think the one thing that as a driver and as a fan, if you've never watched Formula One before and you look at the Baku Street Circuit, you're initially led to believe that it's just a lot of 90-degree corners, but in actuality, it's a lot more complicated than that, and one only realizes how complicated it is when they have a look at the track itself and maybe drive it somewhere, maybe in a video game, ideally. But let's hop on board the fast lap video for today.
Yep. Unfortunately, we don't have a hot lap, but we do have a clip which shows what happened in last season's Tier 1 race. So without further ado, let's hop onto that video.
Crossroads between Europe and Asia on the tip of the Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan plays host to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix at the Baku Street Circuit. Heralded as the fastest street circuit ever by drivers, cars running low downforce can touch nearly 360 km an hour on the pitch straight, but drivers will have to fine-tune the balance between top speed and downforce for the complex castle sections between turns 8 and 12. Let's see where the limits were pushed in Season 5 at Baku. Babaji in the Renault found himself in a difficult position going into the heavy braking zone of turn 3, finding himself on the outside at turn 4, but was a man on a mission, and after swallowing a bravery pill, made it stick under challenging conditions. Maranello and Rissel sparred for track position down to turn 1, with Rissel making it clear Maranello would have to fight for it, and Maranello responded well around the outside to topple the steadfast defense of the AlphaTauri driver. And the fortunes turned for Tanish after seemingly getting the move done through turn 7, but overcooked his braking going into turn 8 and ended up the worst out of the two drivers.
Hello, and that was our highlights from last season. We're still waiting for the drivers to enter qualifying. There's a bit of a delay as we are trying to get all the drivers in. So it's in the how. Of course, you did commentate over that video. So, but going through the highlights from last season, what did you like? What do you expect from today's race?
Somehow, when I was looking at the highlights from last season's race, I saw a lot of people getting a little close in Sector 1. I think that's going to be the main area of overtaking because, there's significantly less chance of messing up because it's mostly, as I said earlier, it's just mostly 90-degree corners, so it gives you a lot of time to position your car and make sure you're in the right place. But also, one thing I noticed from the highlights of last season was that a lot of drivers were very comfortable going around the outside during overtakes. So it's not that I don't think it's true that any driver is short of bravery today. So there's going to be a lot of elbows out, a lot of wheel-to-wheel action today. But also, I don't think I need to mention, but I think everyone needs to keep an eye on Sector 2. I think that's going to be where races are either won or lost, because that is a very tight portion of the track, specifically in the castle section between turns 8 and 12. So I think that's where it's going to be a hot spot today. We're going to be seeing, I don't wish for it upon anyone, but if we do see any controversy, it is going to be in that section because it's so tight and two cars can't fit through simultaneously there. So
Yep, absolutely. And let's not forget this entire track has such a wide variety of downforce sections. Like the sector 2 and 3 are sector 2 is a very high downforce section by if you look at the nature of the corners, while sector 1 is a low downforce section. So that means drivers always find it a bit tricky to balance setups in here over here. So that
That is
always makes it. And as we say that we have entered qualifying, so without much further ado, let's switch over. Let's have a look at the weather forecast. Oh, dry race all the way. So, a lot of drivers will be breathing a sigh of relief right now.
Yes, you do not want to be having a wet race around this track. I think it's one of those tracks where drivers, I think, keep their fingers crossed. But I don't think we've seen, and especially in real life, we have not seen a wet race at Baku so far. I might be wrong on that, but there's definitely a chance of that in the game because the weather is randomized. So I think drivers got off a little lucky there.
Yep, I can see one of the Williams has already left the pit box. Quite an early exit from him. I think it's probably Eccentric. Yep, it is Eccentric. He's left the pit box.
Eccentric, our championship leader and winner of the inaugural race at Austria. What's probably going through his mind right now?
He's probably trying to keep out the castle section. He's very quick. He's one of the drivers who's been putting a lot of effort into this championship. Moto are the ones I think are the ones to look out for. They're putting a lot of effort into this particular season, and I think these are the drivers who would be fighting for the win or pole perhaps. We also have I'm a Myth here, a supremely talented driver, maybe not the most motivated driver in the season, but his raw pace and is extremely good.
In the previous race, he was, I think, one of the front runners for a large portion of the race, so he's definitely one of those guys to keep an eye out for.
Yep. We have a few reserves today, but I don't think they have joined yet. We're waiting for Oxygen to join into the session yet, so far.
Alright.
Let's see. But we have Aditya, who did leave the session early on, has now rejoined. But his teammate Helium is on his outlap right now. Oh, the track looks very cold, if I should say so. Like it looks as if it's early morning, but it looks like there's it's very cloudy, and I think the track temps are going to play into the times here. There's not going to be a lot of grip when the drivers go out on the track.
That's another factor that drivers have to take into consideration, excluding setup, which we talked about earlier. But in general, what is your thoughts about negotiating traffic on this track? Is that going to be a major factor going into
It's quite long, so traffic shouldn't be a big issue. But there are some moments where if you catch some particular drivers in a particular section, that can catch you off guard. But as you can see, Eccentric has a clear track ahead of him for nearly a sector, so he should be doing pretty well here. Let's go on board him now. Coming into turn 4, I believe, braking at the 100-meter board, getting as close to the wall as possible on the exit. Over here, braking just below the 50-meter, avoiding that inside curve, but using as much of the track as possible. Now over here, between the 150-meter boards, very important to get your line right over here. Jumping over that curb. I have seen drivers avoid and take that curb. And now coming into this section, very important to cut plenty of that curb on the inside. Of course, in real life it's not possible to do that, but in the game we can. Coming into the castle section, who goes very close to the wall on the right. At the top of the castle section line, and it's important to carry a lot of speed. Now coming into the what we call in the F1 community as the eSports corner. Where let's see how much of the curb he's going to jump and whether he's going to keep it valid. Oh, that takes plenty of it. Now coming into the final corner of the track, if I can say so, given that the next section is pretty flat out. Sets purple sector 2. Now, doesn't hit the apex perfectly, but should not matter. High speed section, maybe will lose a tenth, what he can possibly do. Now crossing the line. He still has plenty of ERS in his tank. Now crossing the line. It's a 138.4 as a banker. It's a good lap. He should improve by a second by the end of the session, because track evolution in Baku is really massive.
Indeed.
Yep. We have Anadol's asset on the Ferrari setting the second time of the session with a 140.2. I remember that it's 139.2 on the mediums, however. So a blistering lap from Myth.
This first set of laps are going to be the banker laps from everyone. This is when everybody laps, test out various aspects, and just see how far they can push the limits on this first banker lap. So I would say don't really take this to be the final lap. I don't think that needs to be seen.
To be honest, in Baku, like the track evolution from the beginning to end is so massive. Like it can improve by a second, and of course, the driver's confidence itself is building up through the entire session.
Yep.
Let's hop on board Kaushik Tamala, who I think has not so far set a time yet. He's negotiating a bit of traffic from his teammate Charles Leclerc, who has set a 140.5. Charles Leclerc graciously getting out of the way of his teammate. Kaushik now coming into the castle section. Let's see how he takes the castle section. Let's see if he's able to keep it clean. As a driver, I saw Kaushik he did express quite a lot of fear about the castle section. So let's see if it is. But we're seeing some green flags waving. So I think the horse of Freeman did have a moment in the castle section. Yeah, he's getting back to the pits. So
I mean, driver's fear of the castle section is justified because initially when you are faced with it for the first time as a driver, which is when you start playing F1 for the first time, you are very, very cautious. And the truth of the matter is that if you're confident, you can take quite a lot of speed through there. Of course, you do have a corner right after it, so it does become a case of balancing how much speed you carry. But it is possible to carry quite a lot of speed through that castle section without messing it up, as some drivers have done in the past, both in real life and on the game. As we have Kaushik finishing his first banker lap, coming across the line now. Let's see where he can put his force in, I should say racing points.
39.6. And we have a 5-place grid penalty from Black Sheep for collision with I'm a Myth.
Not really sure what happened between the two there. Maybe a case of blocking the racing line. I don't know if F1 2020 penalizes for that, but could be an interesting run going forward. So that means that Black Sheep now has to maximize his qualifying as much as possible.
Yep, absolutely.
So he can start as far forward as possible, and that penalty suddenly doesn't become as big a problem for him.
Yep. Something to note is that it's nearly impossible to do 4 laps in Baku. You're mostly restricted to doing 3 laps in Baku. So that does mean that the drivers have 1 less lap to get comfortable with. And I think that's going to play against some drivers who are maybe not the most confident with the track right now.
That is due to the fact that Baku is, as a track, very long.
Yep.
It's the second longest track on the calendar behind Spa, if I'm not wrong. So
we have no pro player on a lap. Sets from the medium, so 2 seconds off pole time right now. But I think Pro P is a player who generally does a lot of laps initially on the mediums with the high fuel load to get comfortable with the track, and then goes on his flying runs. So he should be improving quite drastically towards the end of the session.
Also, one thing we should probably note is Normal Pro Player is probably the only driver on the medium tires right now. And he's done 3 laps on those tires so far. I do know some other drivers who are on the mediums.
So Myth's current lap is set on the mediums. He hasn't so far gone for a second run yet.
Okay.
We have Eccentric now, who is going for his second run. His teammate from last season, Moto, who is also looking very quick in practice, has not left the session yet. In the meantime, we have a Yo from the Real SD in the chat.
Hey there, SD. What's up? Hopefully you're enjoying the race.
Yep. Let's see what top speed Eccentric hits going to the end of the main straight.
Top speed at the end of the main straight usually dictates just how much downforce drivers are currently using. Low downforce setups are looking at 350. But
you know, actually in this game, like compared to 2019, they have actually changed the engine's power band a tiny bit. So we rarely go above 340 in most tracks. Even in Monza where we run minimal wings. Ooh, Eccentric hits the ball. Yep.
So we saw high 330s there, so we're assuming that's a balance between some low downforce and high downforce.
Yep, that is it. Like I think the highest I saw in Monza was 347.
All right.
So not too bad.
But as a track, Monza, you can usually get away with running lower aero.
Yep. Eccentric so far not improving on his first run. 300 stop. Ooh, loses his front wing.
Big contact there. Big contact there with the wing. Completely lost his front wing. I was just about to mention that he had one of his front wing planes were not at full health, and then he lost the entire front wing. Luckily for him, he is currently sitting on provisional pole, so we'll have time to get back, but at best he'll have 1 lap remaining to improve on his
Absolutely.
time.
Moto right now at 10th of eccentric in the first sector. Can he blitz eccentric going through the second sector? Something to note was that eccentric was just 300ths of his personal best even after making a complete hash of the opening sector. Now let's see if Moto can... Oh!
Our first casualty of the castle section. That will bring out a full course yellow, I think, but that is exactly why.
Something to note, this is exactly what happened to Moto in last season as well. So he's going to be kicking himself for making the same mistake twice.
In his mind, lightning does strike twice. But that is unfortunate for Moto. He was on a good lap until then, but just lost it. Just carried too much speed.
We have I'm a mid setting purple first sector right now. Let's see how it goes to the second sector. We have PXT X AXCK Aditya Patnaik in P2 right now. Let's see how mid does now crossing the line. Second sector. Oh, it hits the wall.
That will compromise his lap, and I think that is him backing out of the lap. But let's see.
We have a man down in the castle section, and I think the runner of PXT AXK crashed into him in the castle section, and that ended up giving anhydrous acid grid penalty as well.
Oh dear, oh dear. And Hydrus now has to do a 13-point turn to get his Ferrari facing the right way.
Actually, we do allow reseated tracks if he gets stuck in the castle section, so I think drivers will be using that. But he'll be kicking himself because he was going green in the first sector, so definitely lost quite a bit of time.
In comparison, his Ferrari teammate Bracker is currently sitting in P5. He had a very consistent race in Austria, and he'll probably be looking to build on that performance right now.
I think you have jinxed him because he's currently missing a front wing and will be heading to the pits.
Commentator's curse is a powerful force to be reckoned with in IRC.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of drivers commenting on the castle section, so not so surprising.
With good reason, I assume.
We have Helium and Kapil who have not left the pits. I think Kapil is probably deciding to start from the back of the field and embrace the carnage ahead of him to get further ahead. So
some would say that that's a wise strategy because turn 1 here left a lot to be desired for a lot of drivers, so they kind of send it and hope for the best. And I don't know, a part of me thinks that a driver starting at the back has more of a chance of getting into the top 5 or 6 by the end of the first lap than some of the drivers in the midfield. But my word is not set in stone, so we'll see
something to note regarding the tires is the C4 tires that they use here. And that particular set of tires generally tends to have the alternate side, that's a medium soft or the hard soft, tends to be very powerful in these when those tires come into the picture.
I see. What are we looking at in terms of race strategy this time?
I think the top 10 would definitely be a soft medium. The courageous might do a soft medium because the tires wear off so much here that the fast left right in the end of the lap, you literally cannot take it flat out anymore. So the degradation is very bad. But I think most of them will be going for the soft parts in the top 10. I would be surprised if Myth decides to go with the mediums right now, which I think is a good strat in hindsight, as we have Will still set at 38.8, but of course now track evolution is coming into significant play right now. But I think people from the starting from the back would be going for the hard soft as my personal guess.
All right. Is there? I don't think there's a possibility of a 2-stop unless something goes horribly wrong somewhere in the first stint. So
we haven't have Babaji join the session yet, and in the meantime, we have a comment on the YouTube chat. A back marker in Baku is a Baku marker. I honestly don't know what to say.
I think that is the most appropriate response considering the situation.
Yep. Abhi 17, Tanish, Helium, Kapil is not yet setting a lap. Let's go on, but Helium, let's see what kind of lap he can do.
Two Mercedes drivers, not really sure how they did it. Austria, we'll just have a look here. Ooh, getting a little sideways out of turn 2 there.
Yep. First lap of the day, definitely going to be a bit on the back foot. So that's not surprising. But let's see what time he does crossing the line. I'm not sure if we get the delta right now because this is his first lap of the day. But let's hope so.
Do you think the drivers who haven't set a lap yet are waiting for the track evolution to kick into effect before putting in a lap?
I would agree with you on some extent. Everyone in the pits right now is definitely waiting for the track evolution, without a doubt.
All right, because these guys, the ones who haven't set a banker lap at all, or any lap for that matter.
Yeah, but I hope they do not underestimate the length of the outlap over here and end up not hitting a lap itself, because there's going to be a big queue at the end of the session.
Oh yeah, that is going to be a factor. A lot of drivers will be backing into each other, looking to get some open air. There's no concept of towing, obviously, even amongst teammates here. So
yeah, we did have a few teammates do it last season.
Okay, interesting.
Yep. Helium is looking for a really fast lap, just 2/10 of eccentric at the end of the second sector. But not purple yet, but looking really close. Let's see what time he sets crossing. He should be in the front row at the end of this lap.
A touching tribute there from Helium. His name is #RipMurray in respect to Murray Walker recently passing away. He comes across the line, a P2. Very good lap there from Helium.
Yep.
And I do think that was his first lap of the session. So under the pretense is very well done from the Mercedes driver there.
We have some interesting observation that is Black Sheep is qualifying on the mediums.
Oh, he is.
Yes,
so that means he has taken his grid penalty into account and is probably going for medium soft.
Very decent strategy, but now I'm at the start of this lap right now. Let's see what time he does crossing the line. We have the Ferrari of Pragovats now exiting. Freeman has retired in the pits, so I believe he is not heading another lap. But let's see what lap time Myth can do at the end of the session.
Couple of drivers right now in with a chance of provisional pole. Eccentric is currently on, I think he's on his level lap.
Yep, he's 2/10 down on his time right now, on his personal best on the pole time he set earlier. But he should be able to improve in the second sector. Let's see, going into the gas section. He gets all that's and right behind him, Mamabeth has set purple sector 1. Myth gets so close to the wall on the right side.
There through. Oh, very wide through the out turn 12 there.
Yep, he's lucky to not invalidate the lap, but let's see what he can do crossing the line. Locks up a tiny bit, but managed to cut the chicane. Crossing sec.
Any minute now we should be getting. Oh, he's up a second.
Ooh, that's definitely going to be 37. Can he improve further? Blistering lap from Mamabeth.
38.447 is the current time on provisional pole, but I think Myth should be easily displacing that time. DRS Open, 335 kilometers an hour, coming down to the line.
37.3.
137.314. My apologies. A second and a tenth faster than the time in P2. Absolute monster of a lap. As qualifying comes to an end, drivers on their out laps or fast laps right now must complete them. So let's see if anyone is on such a lap. I think Black Sheep is on a lap. Myth has retired from the session after taking provisional pole. Eccentric, unable to improve on his time in the end and has to settle for P2. Other drivers coming here across the line. I think Prakovats is also in third sector now. Should be coming through anytime soon.
Black Sheep is not improving on his time. He's 2/10 off, so I think he will be starting below the top 10 on the softs, which is a very unfortunate fate.
Also, Wilster and Patnaik, both of them finishing the session in P4 and 5. Black Sheep comes across the line here, and I don't think he should be improving. Ooh, makes contact.
Not sure. Did he improve?
I think
he just missed out. That was very close.
Yes. Anyways, Bracker is coming through the final sector now, I believe. Yes, he is. And he is a little up in sector 1. Let's see how much further up he is in sector 2 on P1. Oh, no, he's a second behind.
Yeah, but he could get into the front row if he is able to nail the last sector. He's looking to be running an ample amount of front wing from the looks of it. Rear wing, my bad. It looks very noticeably more pronounced, the rear wing, compared to the other drivers you've seen so far on track. Well, now let's see, crossing the line.
Can he take P2 here?
Yes, he does!
He
Eccentric would be
Fantastic
kicking
lap.
himself right now. So, fun fact, Pragar actually started P2 in the last season as well. So, repeating his result. So, proving that he is one of the more consistent drivers on the grid today.
Something tells me there's going to be more of these recurring facts from last season.
Yep.
Because as the trend seems to be going, a lot of drivers replicating their performance from last year.
We have Aditya Singh on the chat saying he could have gotten P2. And I think Eccentric will be kicking himself right now because he couldn't improve. He seemed to have choked in that final minute of qualifying. He'll be kicking himself. Ooh, and it's Prakhar starting on pole because Meth has a penalty.
I wonder how he picked that up.
Yeah, I think both him and Black Sheep had contact, which ultimately cost him. Acid also has a five-place grid penalty. And
tell you what, though, that is one way to get pole position and then drop back 5 places, because what an absolute monster of a lap. A second faster than anyone else in the session. Your pole sitter is Myth, starting P6, unfortunately, due to his 5-place grid penalty.
Yep, that means Patnaik could be moving to P5, so top 5 finish for him. And he did look very comfortable in Austria. And I think a lot of drivers really struggle to improve in the end of qualifying. Because I think nerves does really, like when you like a bit going for that final run. It feels like I did the lap last season. It was like the last run I felt like the walls were like getting closer to me because of the nervousness. If you get what I mean.
Because if you put in an okay lap on the first lap, you're pretty confident that you're going to improve on it in the second lap. But if your first lap is really bang on, like within 2 or 3/10 of the pole sitter, eventually, you're starting to think, is there any way I can improve? And then you can, okay, maybe I can improve a little here, a little there, and then you end up pushing the limits, and you lose a front wing or you spin out. So yeah, qualifying, that's the reason it's very exciting. That's the reason the good drivers separate themselves.
We just have Helium giving himself a 5-second penalty because
giving himself a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, because there's a timer of a minute, and if you don't adhere to that, you will get a 5-second penalty instantly. Oh, dear. Because the drivers need to set up the car and set up so the race strategy and stuff. So that, and if some drivers actually load in quicker into the race as well, so we generally have a minute timer.
While everybody's loading in and getting ready for their formation lap here, I'm still very curious about how Myth managed to go a second faster. I mean, maybe we have to ask him later if he does finish on the podium, and if he does. Oh, Moto was disqualified from the session.
Looks like Moto and Acid had a contact. Moto on the hards, Kapil on the hards, Propi on the softs, Freeman on the mediums, Black Sheep on the softs. Of course, we don't have choice. Danish on the hards in top 10. So, interesting stat. Last season, we actually had a very interesting incident where we had a crash at turn 1 where I think 6-7 cars got damaged. I hope it's not a repeat this season. But Moto and Acid are going to have a very tough job right now. One of the longest laps on the calendar. They're going to be sitting there on the grid with their tires staying cold.
Okay. Well, this should be an interesting race. We've gone from 17 total drivers to 15 as it currently stands. But what are your predictions for this race? Let's get your race predictions in.
I think we're going to have a very scruffy first lap. As you can see, Pragar having quite a gap. I think he's going to now slow down to back the field up behind him. And further behind us, everyone is getting close. And in terms of the race predictions, I would say you honestly can't predict anything in Baku.
That is true. That's very true. One thing I can predict, though, is Kapil is going to be going for the long first stint, which will put him towards the front of the pack by the end of his stint, but let that not be sort of factor to confuse you, because he will most probably have not made his pit stop by the 20th lap, or at least the 18th or 19th lap.
It's very tricky in Baku, if I may say, to get the correct when you start on the hard tires. There's just not a lot of grip, and grip does give you a lot of confidence in a street circuit. But the soft runners would be also having a very quick pace drop off as well.
So we have an interesting race lined up then. A lot of drivers will look to make their point or try to gain track position in the first corner, but if that is anything to go by, then we have a very exciting race on our hands.
I don't think anyone is going to like really gain a lot of track position on the first corner. It's a very short run to turn 1, but I think we would be having quite a lot of dives into turn 3.
Oh yeah, definitely. By that time, drivers have picked up speed, so it's definitely possible. Also, I would say if there's any driver to keep an eye out for, it's our pole sitter, who's currently in P6. We should look to see how he gets on in the race.
Yep.
Should have our lights counting down in a second now. The yellow flag in sector 3. Interesting. 5 lights. And away we go here in Baku. Brucker gets a good start, instantly pressurized, but slots in behind him. Timing tree shows Kapil in the lead, but I don't think that's entirely true. Everybody keeping it fairly clean. Oh, little lock up there. Someone locked up, but luckily don't think there was any casualties as a result of it. Eccentric has made up a position from P3, or has he taken the... He's inherited the race lead from Brucker there. Brilliant driving.
As we seem damage from the clock, I did see that the racing point of Kaushik has lost his front wing, has a bit of end plate damage. Not sure if he's going to pit, but I think Eccentric got the move done into turn 3.
Let's see, so far halfway into the lap, coming up to the crucial castle section here. A couple of drivers have dropped back. Look at Black Sheep, 4 positions, no more PP, 4 positions, and Brucker, the pole sitter, who started P1 and would have looked to capitalize on the fact that he started in P1 and has now got behind Eccentric by the third corner. It's interesting.
Yep. Ooh, Eccentric really cutting that corner like very aggressively. Let's have a look. Helium looks to be looking faced to get that move, but we have Mercedes 3-4 right now with Aditya jumping 4 places. Myth himself gaining a place. Yep.
Also, Charles Alert in 11th will look to get the move done on Freeman. Straight now. Oh, he seems to have lost time there. Oh no, he's got the move done. I'm very sure. He's got the move done there on Freeman. Up to the top 10.
Yeah,
Some
Freeman.
drivers starting pits immediately. I'm sorry, go on.
We have Freeman heading into the pits here. Both the AlphaTauri seems to have moved together. They have at the back of the pack. Both of them have moved up to P10 and P11. They seem to be moving to get quite in a pack, if I should say so.
Operating as a unit entirely, we could say. Speaking of operating as units, 2 Mercedes have slotted into 3rd and 4th, as you mentioned earlier, and they will look to make the most use of each other's slipstream.
Give me a sec. Let me reduce the volume a bit because I think it's quite high. Let's go.
Some people in the chat pointing that I need to turn my volume up, but I think it should be fine now.
Yep. Now, the delta seem to be completely bugged, so I don't know. Ooh, we have a crash, and that's a Mercedes of Aditya losing his front wing, and Amamet gets a free position up to P4, and now he'll be looking. The pole sitter will be now looking forward to chase down Helium.
2 Mercedes driver getting a little too close for comfort there. I'm not sure if Aditya was in P3 or Helium was in P3, but one of them made a mistake. Aditya made a
mistake. Yep, it was Aditya. He's missing an end plate right now. Ooh, locks up completely. Patnaik gets a move done.
Brilliant move there down the inside of the not penultimate corner, but the other corners aren't really corners per se.
Yep.
I mean, already we're looking at the tyre graphic here, and just after 2 laps, we see some of the drivers seeing yellow tyres. But I think these are the tyres from qualifying. But I'm not entirely sure.
The rear right really does wear out. You need to conserve. You just cannot afford to have wheel spin in this track.
Which is difficult considering there's curbs on the exit of pretty much every corner here. And you do have to maximize track width to get a good lap time in.
Absolutely. Will Strategy now within the DRS of Patnaik, and but Tanish has also made gains, moving from P10 to P7. Black Sheep seems to have had a really bad start, has fallen further down the order. Let's have a look at the tires the different drivers are on. Yep, Black Sheep I think has had to box after first lap carnage. Acid quite a far back off right now.
Oshik also having to dive into the pits on the first lap and putting on a set of medium tires. But I think Moto made up a lot of positions there in the first couple of laps. He's jumped up 8 positions based on the little position graphic that I saw earlier. Good start from him there.
Yeah, it does look like it. Ooh, the Prague not looking very comfortable at the castle section.
A little bit of steering correction, I would say, going through turn 12 there. But he seems to be second behind Eccentric, not too far back, but it will be on his mind now.
Yeah. Prague hasn't really practiced with his race. He's been focusing on some other things lately. So, we have a first retirement as the Mercedes of Aditya has crashed in the castle section.
Again, the Mercedes driver. Ooh, big impact there. Yeah, he went nose first into that wall. There was no escape for him. 2 mistakes in pretty much a span of 3 laps there from Aditya. You do wonder if he was struggling a little bit there to the castle section.
We have a VSC right now, so I think all the drivers would be now following the pace car delta. But something to talk about virtual safety car. If he can get a good start, if we get a good run out of the end of the virtual safety car, we can really gain a lot of time, which can be the race decider.
I think I saw from the highlights. I don't think we did have a virtual safety car in Austria, I think, but I saw someone. I'm not entirely sure. Got a very good start after the safety car and inherited the race lead briefly. So I think it might have been, but I'm not entirely sure. Yes, as you mentioned earlier, the virtual safety cars.
And we have green flag. I think so far nobody got a drive through, but Helium seems to have gained a lot of positions while Prager has now fallen a bit back. So Prager has definitely not been helped by the virtual safety car. I'm a Myth has dropped places. He seems to have boxed.
He has boxed for a set of medium tires.
Was that intentional? I'm not so sure. He will be.
Ooh, little contact there and almost spun around after catching the rear right of Kapil going through.
Yep. It's not
turn 7 there. Now he's right on his diffuser going through the castle section, coming out of the castle section now and onto the eSports corner, as you mentioned earlier.
Yep, he's not going to be a happy customer there right now. Let's not forget Alpha and Haas rivals in real life as well. So Myth will want to get ahead of Kapil as soon as possible, especially given he's on the hard tires.
Well, if he is, he's definitely within DRS, so DRS here, so he should get the move done, and I think he's confident of it being on slightly newer tires, also softer tires, the mediums being softer than the hard tires, and I think he should get the move done here into turn 1.
Going side by side through the straight, Mitch should be easily able to cover off, but will Kapil send a dive? Will Kapil send a dive coming to turn 1? Oh, we have a VSC.
Another VSC, someone else has had an incident somewhere.
I cannot see any slow-moving car, so I think there's probably debris on the track from a collision somewhere, which is the only explanation.
Let's look at the car condition graphics for some of these drivers, and maybe we can fathom something.
I don't really see anyone. So
odd,
very odd. Oh, we have Patnai getting a drive-through penalty at the VSC restart. He's gonna have to.
VSC, and I think it's 2 laps before you have to serve the drive-through.
3 laps. So he has to serve by the end of his 3rd lap from this point. He's gonna be kicking himself right now and praying for a safety car. A lot of virtual safety cars, but not many safety cars right now so far.
But Nayak getting our first penalty of the race underway here, not counting the incidents we had earlier. But that is the first drive-through. It's a drive-through penalty, but still, it will affect the course of the race for him. Someone in the chat saying turn off ghosting. Yeah, I don't think that's a very wise idea.
Yep, Tanish has now moved into P5. I think he started at P10, so he's gained 5 places. Moto once again the big gainer out of all of this on the hard tires. He's going to be a very big threat at the end of the race once he bolts on the softs.
If he's made up this many positions in the first, then one can only wonder what he's capable of in the second stint. I think Dracula is under threat here. He is. He has dropped off a little bit from Eccentric, and that has in turn pushed him a little bit
Yep.
into the Mercedes of Helium, who'll now try to make the most of the situation.
Yep, I think what's happening is that Prakhar has basically pushed his ERS to catch up to Eccentric, and now he doesn't have enough ERS to defend against Helium. Is what it looks like to happen.
Okay.
Charlotte in P6, so he I believe he is also a big gainer.
Moto in the Alpha Tauri will look to make another position here on Charlotte.
Yep.
Looking up front and left a little bit, coming up that corner there.
Yep.
Is it very easy to pick up the insides when going into a corner? A lot of drivers seem to be struggling.
Yep, for sure. It's quite tricky on the insides. Like especially the low downforce means lockup is quite likely over here. Also, the suspension is such that there's not much loading on the front tires. The suspension that generally they run in Baku, so that does mean that the insides are quite usually not that doesn't have a lot of grip.
Okay.
Yep. I think
another virtual safety car here for some reason. We seem to be getting many.
We're getting a lot of ghosts. I can't see any slow-moving cars in the track map, so a lot of virtual safety cars coming out of the blue.
On that note, though, Kaushik has once again gone for a new set of tires, and so has UB17. I think these two may be. I don't want to speculate, but I think something may have happened not between these two, but to both of them individually, which may have caused some.
Oh, we have another drive-through with Wilstraji getting. Oh, I'm a myth also as a drive-through.
Oh no, his race just keeps getting worse and worse after picking up a 5-place grid penalty in qualifying. Now he has to deal with a drive-through in the race.
Yep, Eccentric has boxed for the hards under the VSC, so has Moto has not. So a lot of drivers using the VSC to essentially get a cheap pit stop. So that means Prakhar now has a lot to cover to be able to compensate.
Nike already had a penalty. Yep. Exciting for some reason. But now Prakhar doesn't necessarily. It's not about worrying about having a car ahead of him, but he has got clean air ahead of him. So if he wants to put distance between himself and Patnaik, now's the opportunity.
Yep. Let's not forget, it's quite possible Eccentric and Helium will be running up into traffic, and that could ultimately compromise their races.
And if anything, Moto and the Alpha Tauri has been dominant so far. I mean, relative to when he started, he's doing extremely well, so it could be a difficult car to overtake.
Yeah, I think Moto would be pitting around lap 18, 17, maybe earlier. So quite a long wait for. It's quite possible by the time Eccentric catches up, Moto will be boxing. But of course, will be a very close call.
People in the chat are asking if Myth had an accident. I'm not quite sure. I think
he boxed under the first safety car. I think he switched to a two-stop strategy. But now he got a drive-through. That means his entire work has pretty much been undone. And as we have Moto now going for a move on Charlotte, will be able to get it done. He gets past.
Oh, but Charlotte will fight back, but I think Moto will keep it around the outside. Brave driving there from the AlphaTauri driver, and it pays off up into the podium positions in just a couple of laps there from.
But Charlotte will get DRS, who gets so much wheel spin out of turn 3, and I think that pretty much ends any potential for a defense there.
Indeed. Had the inside line going into turn 1.
Massive lockup from both of the drivers. But now Eccentric will have to go through Charlotte, and that means Moto could now be looking forward to catching up to Tanish. Let's have a look at the related lap times, shall we?
Yes, indeed.
Yep. Moto looking quicker. I think the laps where he was stuck behind Charlotte was where he was a bit on the back foot, but Moto looking like the quicker driver right now.
He is looking like the quicker driver, but obviously, there's another car ghosted going through the stadium section there. Oh, that's the ghosted back mark. I'm not entirely sure. That might be Kaushik.
Yep. So Eccentric and Helium. Helium is also coming into the back of Patnaik right now, right behind him. Ooh, gets really close. Oh, they have a lost wing. I'm not sure if it's but oh, Helium has lost a end plate. That's going to be so costly for him right now.
Helium will have to negotiate with lower front end grip for the.
And we have a VSC. Oh my god! Patnaik just ping ponging off the walls there.
I think that incident. I think I wanted to bring this up earlier, but I think I forgot to bring it up now since we've just seen it there. Those first couple of corners. Oh, sorry, the last couple of corners. Ooh, what is going on between the drivers here?
Patnaik, I am not sure what's going on, but it's absolute carnage. Helium once again using the VSC to pit. I don't think those mediums can go to the end, but he really doesn't have much options right now. Pragar once again, Pragar does box, so he seems to have benefited. But look at the amount of time Eccentric has gained from that pit stop. He has a 5-second lead right now. Oh, and we are racing, and it looks like Couple will be trying for a move on Pragar. Pragar tries to stick it on the outside. Oh, a bit of aji-baji from the drivers, but they're ahead.
But Nike has also left the session unlucky for him.
Yep. But I think, yeah, go ahead.
Good from a couple to try to get the move done. Unfortunately, it didn't stick for him.
Yep.
But it was a good attempt there. The intent was there, definitely, between the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari.
Yep. We have Eccentric right now chasing down Charlotte. Charlotte doesn't really have a lot of ERS to play with, so it should be an easy move for Eccentric over here.
Charlotte, who is started on the medium tyres, is currently finding himself being bombarded by fast drivers from behind. First Moto, now Eccentric.
Seems to have made a mistake, lost second to Madhav, won't be able to get the move done this lap. This is ultimately this is working against his strategy right now. Let's try to get a look at the graphics. Eccentric looking miles quicker than the racing point ahead, but that also means that that shows the amount of time that he will lose the longer he's behind the racing point.
Let's have a look at how Black Sheep is doing. He started a bit further back due to his grid penalty, but now he seems to have made his way up to P8. I think that might be because of some of the drivers ahead of him pitting due to penalties and various incidents around the track.
Yep.
He seems to have recovered well.
He's chasing down no pro player. Yeah, he's recovering quite well. I think both these drivers will need to do one more pit stop. Especially Pro P, I think he has box, so I think he's probably working. Pro P will probably like try to get one more feature safety car to box onto another set of mediums or softs.
I would also say that no driver right now on the track is on the same tire that they were on when they started the race, and it's only lap 10.
I think Kapil, Moto, and Tanish are on the same set they started on.
Are they? It says 9 laps, but it says 10 at the time.
Yeah, in the 10th lap, so they've done 9 laps on it so far.
That's true.
10 including the formation lap, I would say, but I don't think the game counts a formation lap.
No, I don't think so either. But yes, I'm very sorry. Yes, we have 3 drivers still on the tires they started on.
Yep. We have Black Sheep locking up all of his tires. I'm not sure if that's a bug or if that's he actually locked up everything.
A lot of drivers going for the inverse of the strategy that Couple was going for, starting on the softs, and now due to various incidences and obviously the couple of virtual safety cars that we have now switched to either the mediums or the hard tires. So
yep, absolutely.
A long second stint for them, but some of them may also be looking to dive in sometime later on in the race and put on another set of softs for the final stint.
Moto and Tanish looking very evenly matched. It's been kind of going in a ping pong, I would say. Either driver not gaining or losing on much, but Eccentric looks very comfy for the win, and he has gotten past Charles.
Bracker is currently 5 seconds, doesn't seem to be making up much time on Charles either, and worryingly for him, he is now within DRS of Kapil, so I think Kapil will try to go for the move. No, just a bit too far back. That'll be a problem for Bracker because he has to think about defending from Kapil and not necessarily about catching the drivers ahead.
Yep, we have Acid, Wilshire now getting past Acid, most into the final points position. Wilshire also will be putting. Ahmed sets a fast lap of the race with a 43.0. Ooh, very Wilshire gets a bit of.
Just a little bit of.
Looked like oversteer on entry. But the field has become quite spaced out right now, and I think Eccentric would now be looking to very quickly close in on Moto.
How much of the curb are you allowed to cut there just before
You can
the
pretty
back
much
straight?
jump everything.
Oh wow.
Not very realistic in that aspect. I think in real life, if they tried it, the car would probably break into it into like 4 pieces.
That's true. You would also have severe suspension damage if you did it too often. Well, I
Yep.
think one is probably the limit.
I don't think they can even do it once in real life.
The field is spreading out a bit here, but right now the only real battle going on is between Brucker and Kapil.
Yep.
Separated by 8/10 of a second. And
Yep.
as we look a little further down the field, we have Anhydrous, who is within 2 seconds of the first step. Apart from that, as you said earlier, the field has
Kapil is a master of copying other drivers. He does not put a lot of effort himself into the practice, but if he's behind a driver, he's very effective at copying their braking points. We have another VSE.
I think there might have been an incident there for Myth because I did briefly see a penalty pop up somewhere. Maybe he ran wide.
Yeah. It seems that every time there's a tiny bit of contact or debris on track, the VSE is being triggered.
I think that's because the debris finds its way into a part of the track, which is.
Yep. And there's Acid, who is now boxing for the hards. We have Myth, who's also boxing. He should be boxing to the hards right now.
Myth briefly makes up a position there, but that's in the pits alone.
Oh, he gets a new wing as well, so that's going to nullify whatever advantage he gained out of having a different set of wings from boxing under the VSC.
Since we are seeing so many wings being broken, I don't think there is a limit to the number of times you can change your front wing in.
There is a limit actually. I think it's 4 or 5.
Not in real life. I mean, on the game.
Yeah, in real life, in the game, there's a limit to the amount of times you can change your front wing.
Oh, okay.
It's not well known, but there is. Pragor incidentally gaining a lot of time. Eccentric also gaining quite around 5/10 on the VSC restart. So Moto also lost a bit of time on the VSC restart. So looks interesting right now.
Within half a tenth there, gaining, but still behind Pragor, I think.
Yep. It's like it's essentially a ping pong situation right now. But Kapil is looking very close right now.
And if he gets a good exit out of turn 2 here, that'll set him up nicely for an overtake on the back straight. So many straights, but this should be a good opportunity for him if he can get these teams out a good amount of ERS. A bit far back, I assume, but this straight is also pretty long. No, I don't think he can. But it will bring him closer to Pragor, so it'll work out well for him, but not for him.
We don't know what kind of wing levels these drivers are running, so Kapil could be on the back foot because of that.
Field has settled down a bit here, but a couple of drivers currently rocking penalties. No more PP and Myth currently carrying penalties.
Does Pragor have wing damage if I'm not wrong?
If he does, there is a certain level
Yep,
of...
he is missing an end plate.
Why has he not stopped? Does he feel like he can hold off Kapil? Or has he recently picked up this damage? I'm not entirely sure.
Not entirely sure, but that... I don't think it makes sense for him to box right now, unless he's a VSC.
Oh, big sideways there from Kapil.
Yep.
But fortunately for him, the driver ahead of him is harboring damage, so one would say that catching up to him again will not be as big an issue as if the driver was.
But I think because of that, he has lost his DRS, but he should be able to get it back. So he keeps DRS. He managed to nick it just before the DRS zone.
Even with that big moment coming out of the corner there, still manages to stay within a second of the car ahead.
We can see that the pit window has now opened for the hard-medium strategy. Would be interesting if the front runners of Moto Atanish will be using this time to head into the pits. Charlotte has now boxed for the softs. I'm very, very skeptical about the strategy because 12 laps on the softs? Very, very unlikely.
You would have to massage the tires, as Sebastian Vettel would say.
Yep.
A certain level of massaging would be required there. Right now, Tanish seems to be setting constant pace up at the front, but seems to put some distance between him and Moto. Eccentric until now, just until I looked there, he was holding that 2.5-second gap to Moto pretty stably, but now the gap has dropped to 1.5 seconds.
Yep. I'm not sure, like, if Moto and Tanish gets a VSC, they're going to be in prime position to the race win. But I don't think without that, I don't really see them contesting for the race win.
I mean, right now, as it stands, top 5 drivers are on the same tyre. Obviously, of varying age, but they are on the same tyre.
Yep.
There is still 6 or 7 laps between these
also,
guys.
let's not forget accelerated box 1 lap earlier than expected. So we don't know how, if the hards will be, how effectively they'll hold on till the end.
In an aggressive pursuit of the driver ahead, as I think Eccentric there made through contact with the wall. In the hard pursuit of the driver ahead, it could drop off sooner than the drivers ahead. So it's going to be interesting to see. Eccentric is consistently lapping faster though, as the graphics has just popped up here.
Yeah, I mean that is expected given the age of the tires. But it's going to be close still. Yeah, but this does mean that Moto could provide a buffer to Tanish for him to like basically hold off Eccentric, and that could put Tanish in a good place in terms of the race win.
Interesting. That will be an interesting dynamic to keep an eye on. As I did briefly see a couple going to 2/10 there to Brucker, but then again the gap has opened up a bit. Just seems to get very close, but not able to maximize the situation. As you said, maybe he's choosing not to make the overtake and just kind of stay behind and control his own pace based on Brucker, but you should probably also keep in mind that Brucker has damage, so it may not be the most ideal.
The rear tires of the hard runners don't look very pretty as well, so that could also be playing against them. If you look at the rear tires, they look really battered.
You're right. Is that because of the amount of...
This is a rear limited track. The rears are always dictate your pace, especially the rear right, which does have a lot of potential for a puncture.
Alright. But Nike will feel a little hard done by after putting in a good qualifying session and having been bumped up to 5th place after Mitt's penalty. But currently he's not in the session.
We have we have Charles doing the fast lap of the race. I told before that I'm skeptical how long he'll make it on the softs, because 12 laps is a big ask, especially with the way he is punishing them on the exits.
That is true, but he will get the move done here on no more PP. Yes, he will. Very easily steps past the Red Bull driver there. If he keeps pushing those tires, he gets 5-6 laps maximum before he has to come in again. Maybe he's got something in mind that we clearly can't see. Do you see?
The only way I think this is gonna work is if he gets a safety car to box run instead of softs. But among other things, let's have a look at the gap to the leader. So if Tanish does a box now, we have Eccentric, who has now gotten past Moto. But Moto will now get DRS for the main straight. But right now, looking at the Delta, Tanish will come, Moto both will come ahead of Charles once they box for the softs or the mediums.
Also, I think you may have mentioned earlier about Charles Leclerc on the faster tyre. I think seeing his pit onto, as Kapil comes into the pits here after doing 15 laps on the hard tyres.
Let's see what tires.
The effect of hard tyres. Sorry, go on.
He should be going on the softs to do He's on the mediums.
Interesting. So Kapil thinks that he can't get the last 9 laps on the softs, but somehow Charles thinks that he can do it on the softs. Very interesting.
I'm ready to bet. So, folks, put your bets in. Do you think Charles is going to get a puncture or not? Or crash, or crash, either one of those three things. Because in Baku, when the tires go off, you can kiss your, what do you call, grip goodbye bye.
And in turn, your front wing as well.
Moto still sticking very close to eccentric right now.
Oh,
we have a big, yep. Black Sheep has retired, so in the pits, interestingly, so we have had eccentric's entire wing is gone.
Eccentric had the position, had almost, you could say, had the race in his hands, being the driver on the newest tires in the top 3, but don't know what was going through his mind there. Just, the eSports corner claims another.
He actually lost it before the eSports corner, so in a flat out section he lost it. Tanish dives into the pits. I think Moto staying out. Yeah, Tanish's rear tires are looking, looks very critical, so I'm not surprised, but he could go for the softs. He does go for the softs.
I think that's going to be a common strategy among all the drivers currently on the. I mean, Wilster will probably also dive into the pits anytime now.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's not his first stop. But if he is a first stop and on the hard tires, it's definitely going to be softs now. But Kapil went for the medium.
Tanish comes just ahead of Pragar. So Moto well. So I just realized it's a very short pit stop. Oh, Freeman is retired. Will that be a safety car? Freeman is retired in the pit, so I don't think so. So something to note here is that the pit stop is very short over here, so it's very likely that Moto could. So it's very likely that Moto will not lose a lot. But among other things, Moto, if he boxes next lap, he will have very fresh softs, which can go a long way.
His in-lap's going to be very, very crucial now for Moto. Yep. Currently inheriting the race lead from Tanish after his pit stop.
Tanish has just gained 6 tenths on his out lap.
Flying there on the new soft tires.
But let's not forget, given how the Moto just on his personal best though, so he's using all of his ERS to minimize the damage. But among other things, But among other things, the pit entry into Baku alone can gain you a lot of time if you can nail it.
A little conservative there, but I think safer is better than smacking the wall.
Let's see. Should also be going on to the softs. Should be coming ahead of Pragar, but will be quite close.
And he goes onto the soft tires. I think this is when the fast laps will be raining down, given the number of drivers that are going on to the softs now.
But crucially, Pragar has split Moto and Tanish. So Tanish looking in a very good place for the win.
Tanish is looking in a good place to win, but Pragar will now have to contend with the very fast Alfa Romeo Pragar has to contend with a very fast Alpha Tauri of Moto's currently on the soft tires. Is there a chance of Moto catching Tanish by the?
Very much, because if you box 1 lap later for the alternate strategy, you're going to be gaining 3 tenths per lap because of having fresher tires.
One lap makes all that difference.
Yep, it does. But not like that. If he's not going to gain that time. Should be gliding.
Already catching up to the back of Pragar here. He was about a second and a half off, and now he's gained 8 tenths. Pragar still has wing damage, doesn't he? So that might also be playing a factor.
Yeah, Pragar has quite a big buffer, so he will be using that. Surprisingly, very clean for most of the drivers. Oh, Moto says purple sector 2. Should be able to glide past Moto. I don't know if Pragar will really fight Moto over here.
Pragar actually is in risk of dropping out of the podium places entirely.
I don't think so. Because I highly doubt Charles will get will complete the current strategy. But unless he does some magical massaging of the tires, yep, and Moto does get past Trucker.
Yeah, and Trucker doesn't fight the Alpha Tauri that's coming past, barreling past him.
Yep.
And now Moto trying to pull away from Trucker here with a lot of ERS deploy and a lot of overtake as well. So trying to catch Danish, that's his primary objective right now. And now Trucker's objective will be to hold off Charles, but as you said, Charles has bet him against himself by making that strategy call. So
Purple sector 1 from Moto. Not surprising given he had DRS. And among other news, Eccentric has gotten past normal pro player.
And also picked up a penalty in the process.
Yep. He got that penalty ironically when he crashed.
Oh, okay. And Myth has retired from the session.
Yep. A lot of Baku taking a lot of good prospects out of a lot of drivers, and I think this might potentially give the potential for B17 to be in the points, but that seems quite unlikely. Yep.
I mean, at the rate at which drivers have been dropping like flies, I wouldn't bet against another driver. Also,
Moto looking good for a purple sector, purple lap here. Has set purple sector 1, sector 2. Eccentric getting
another 3-second time penalty.
Charles made a mistake somewhere because he suddenly fell behind Eccentric. But Eccentric is in the mediums, a very strange decision. I would have thought he would go for the softs, unless he did not have a.
No more PP is catching Charles now, and 6/10 separating the two drivers.
Yep. Tanish and Moto now putting the chase. Let's have a look at their later lap times. Moto is second quicker than Tanish in the last lap.
He is catching Tanish like he is standing still. Maybe a bit of an overstatement, but it adds to the excitement.
Of course. So far, all the drivers. Helium very quickly approaching approaching Wilshire G over here. We got some news in the chat. Apparently, Black Sheep spun in the castle section, and that's why he retired.
Shame about Black Sheep. He had a good recovery drive going there until his incident in the castle section.
Yep. Moto.
Someone suggested in the chat. Yeah, go on.
Moto catching Tanish exceptionally quickly. He just gained 5/10.
Man on a mission in the Alpha Tauri.
Yep, absolutely.
I was just about to say, someone suggested that IRC do a drive to survive.
Folks, this is Drive to Survive. This is IRC Drive to Survive. IRC Baku Grand Prix is
pretty much Drive
to Survive. Yep.
And half the drivers haven't survived. We should probably
add 60%, but close enough.
A couple of very potential drivers there. Myth, but Nayak, just name a few. Black Sheep as well. I think all the drivers there have potential to put on a good race.
Yep. But, yeah. We have Charles has, as we said, Charles has now boxed for a new set of softs, and that gives P6 to Kapiles, and who's looking, I don't know, maybe a P6, or maybe P4 if he can stay within Eccentric's 6 seconds. Helium picks up a penalty. Driver is now dropping. Driver is now getting penalties left and right, if I should say so.
Myth coming in the chat and saying nice bottle. I wouldn't say that. That's a little harsh for me.
Well, I think I'm going to say one thing, Myth. I think if you have a recording of your qualifying lap, you should put that down because that's one to go down for the ages.
I think that's going to be our, lap guide for the next few years to come. If you could pick up with that.
Yep, absolutely.
Out a monster lap, man. Unlucky. Tell you what, Moto is just holding off for a lap or so. He was holding at 2.5 seconds, but now he's again charged up ERS and coming after Danish. 1.3 seconds separating the two drivers now.
It's gonna go down to the wire. 4 laps to go, 1.3 seconds. Moto is absolutely charging, and I have to mention, Danish box with 10 laps to go, which is a big ask out of the softs.
We still have a couple of laps to go, and as you said, it's going to come down to the wire, so we will see how that battle unfolds. Something tells me that Danish is conserving ERS, if you could just go on board.
I was on board low, so not right now. He was for a second, but now has used it up, but now Moto is on the Actually, they're equal on ERS right now.
They're both going to be slowing down a bit. I think now is when these two guys have to play mind games with each other. Where are you going to overtake?
If I'm being honest, in this situation, being a chaser gives you a psychological advantage than being the chaser in the situation. Because he's going to be looking at that delta every second and seeing it come down and down again. The tire advantage Moto has, that's going to be really cracking down on the young man from Delhi, Gurgaon actually.
Anything in racing that I know from my very brief experience racing is that the driver in front controls the battle. So we shall see how it unfolds.
In the sense, like, if you're, I understand that point of view, but what I mean is that, like some track position, you're saying controlling in terms of track position, but there are times like the right way we are having right now where Moto is looking like the quicker car. That's definitely going to weigh down on Tanish, given we are right now going for a sprint till the end.
Also, considering this is a track that's relatively easy to overtake on, like Monaco or the Hungaroring, for example, I think overtaking becomes less of a problem if you're within DRS and have ERS available to you.
But
go on.
But the pressure on both of the drivers will be immense. One penalty, the slightest mistake with 3 laps to go, can end both their races right now.
I think that will also add to the element of it'll make each driver, it'll primarily be Moto thinking twice or thrice about every overtaking chance he has. About sending one may only be an option saved for the final lap on the final corner.
He has a 11-second buffer, so he can send it, is what I'm saying.
The option is available to him, yes. I should also, was going to mention that Kapil is very close to taking P5 here, and if he can narrow down the margin to P4, he may potentially be in with a chance of P4, assuming Entrix penalties aren't too intense.
Oh, Kapil looks like we have a battle over here.
Kapil can get the move done. We will have DRS.
Oh, no pro player has a tiny bit of contact with the wall, and he does get ahead.
I think No More PP was trying to be a bit cheeky there and drop behind Kapil before going over the DRS line or the DRS detection.
I just realized No More pro player is going for a soft medium strategy, a very bold strategy if I must say so myself, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting if he makes it till the end. But among other things, Moto in the DRS of Tanish right now, as we said, those 1 lap fresh soft is making such a big difference for him right now. He's doing the Jarno Opme strategy, folks.
The Jarno Opme strategy coming in clutch, guys. Keep your eyes peeled and on your screens, because this battle is going to be the one to keep an eye out for.
Let's have a look at the graphics over here. Moto lapping. He does have the upper hand. But will he overtake right now, or will he wait till that last moment to overtake? Both the drivers on low on ERS, so Tanish hitting.
Oh, pulling out the slipstream around the outside. Both drivers are side to side going through the first corner. Very cleanly done there from Moto. He still has pressure here from Tanish, who slips down the inside of turn 2. Brilliant battling there for the two drivers. Who has DRS?
Tanish has DRS.
It's a drag race down to turn 3. Tanish arguably with a little bit more ERS. Both drivers in single-digit ERS here. Tanish sends it down the inside.
Very close to the wall from Moto over there. Among Eccentric has now gotten past Prakhar in P3 as well, but immense racing from both the alphas.
That was not only incredible racing, but also very clean racing and very considerate. I mean, in racing, there's not much respect. There is expected to be respect among drivers, but we do see some drivers just taking a little too much advantage in the situation. But there, each one was giving themselves the respectful amount of space and time. And that makes for amazing racing.
What this means is that Moto, Eccentric picks another ability. Moto has one final lap to get the move done.
Tell you what though, hats off to Tanish. Brilliant defense under the scenario. It's very easy to just sort of lose, not have a defeatist attitude, but it's very easy to just lose focus for that.
Well, I'll tell you who'll be feeling defeatist right now. That's going to be Eccentric.
That is true. He's racked up a considerable number of penalties here. Should see him drop to, well, have a look at the final standings here. But Moto too far back, I'd say. But there is quite a long straight, so we'll see. No, he is a little too far back, and he also doesn't have any ERS available.
Oh, Danish, I think, went a bit deep into turn 1. Moto will be looking to get the move done into turn 3 if he has learned from the last time. Oh, gets a bit of oversteer movement. But Tanish's tires are looking extreme right now. Look at his rear tires. Will Moto able to beat stick? This might go down to the line, folks, because right now,
big lock up there from Danish. Sorry, go on.
Because right now, Moto can basically recharge his ERS behind the slipstream of ERS. Behind the slipstream of Danish and potentially get the move done on the line. It's going to be like borders with a sword in 2017.
Danish's rear tires are looking very crispy right now, and he is going. Oh, big slap of oversteer coming out of turn 7 there for Moto.
Yeah, I think both
controlled it very well under.
Oh, I think Moto might just get a. Who is that? Moto might just get a lease of life. No, Danish might just get a lease of life from Moto's teammate over there, AB17. If Danish does get DRS,
is it going to be a drag race?
If they're in BC right now, Moto would be screaming to Abi, don't give him DRS.
Abi will have to be on the ERS pretty much, but I think he is making the most of the situation there, blocking off his. Oh no, that is up going into the wall. But I think it's not going to be a drag race down to the line. I think Danish, given the circumstances, has done fantastically well, but I may have spoken too soon here. The drivers are getting very close to each other.
1.5 tenths. And we have a winner.
The two drivers, and we do have a winner. IRC Danish doing amazingly well under the circumstances. Eccentric also crosses the line, but we will see in a second where he finishes. Yes, he has dropped out of the podium positions. Brucker takes the final podium position. Couple takes P5.
Propi takes P6. Sharlock, after that very unfortunate strategic decision, gets P7. Even at 4-lap old softs, his tire wear and the rear tires like absolutely horrendous.
Tell you what, that was fantastic racing from P1 and 2.
Yep, absolutely.
Wheel-to-wheel action, and it was fantastic.
Yep, definitely got my. Let's see if Propi has made the strategy. Wilstragy has made the strategy work. Propi has also made the strategy work. A very risky strategy from both of the drivers. Anhydrous Acid comes to round out the top 10. I think Alfa Romeo is leaving. Would potentially leave with the constructors' lead out of Baku.
That will be one to speculate about later on, but very good drive from both Alfa Romeo drivers, and most notably Danish. I mean, brilliant defense there from him.
Yep,
and,
absolutely.
Deserved race win. But also, special mention, I think, driver of the day has to go to Moto as he pops up on our screen there. Incredible comeback drive from him, and I think it's safe to say he capitalized perfectly on the misfortunes of the other drivers.
Yep, absolutely.
Interesting dance there on the podium for the Alfa Romeo driver.
He's definitely enjoying the podium right now, and I think that is Danish's first win in Tier 1, and I feel extremely happy for him. He was a driver who's really struggled to get consistent races, but it's absolutely amazing to see him finally get a good result.
Brucker with another P3 after finishing P3 in Austria, so he's consistent there.
Eccentric is definitely going to be kicking himself right now. If you look, he has finished 2 seconds off Kapil, who could have potentially gone ahead of him. By the matter of perhaps one wheel spin moment could have potentially cost him that. So he's definitely going to be kicking himself right now for losing the win.
Definitely. But I think it is time for the podium interviews, so we'll get the top 3 drivers in here, and I will let my fellow commentator Masum handle this. think Moto is the only one we're missing. Yeah. Prakhar, P3 overall this race. Fantastic drive from you there. I think you got promoted to P3 after Eccentric and his penalties, but overall, what was your opinion with this race?
Well, I can't complain really, can I? I mean, I came into the race with 3 laps of time trial practice. I didn't even have a setup made one on the spot. And I think yeah, first stint was decent, not too bad, but yeah, second stint I think with the wing damage, I think just the lap I came out on my out lap itself, or 1 lap after I got wing damage, so I was racing like the entire hard stint I did with half a front wing, which is not ideal, but on this occasion it was just about fine for the last spot on the podium. I'll take it any day of the week. I mean, yeah, can't really complain, to be honest. P3 is fine. I'm fine with that.
What was going through your mind with the wing damage? I mean, was there a part of you who was thinking, let's stop and change over the wing and maybe we get a little bit more pace, or was there just a large part of you just thought, let's go with this?
Well, I mean, with Baku, it's always always very likely that there would be a safety car. I think I was banking on the same kind of prediction. So I think towards the last dying stages of the race, also I think with 5 laps remaining, I thought there might be a safety car now. I think, but never really came. I think it's good for the community. I think that there are less safety cars in the race. I think it makes the race more competitive. But I think the game's also changed a little, because I think earlier incidents like these would almost certainly result in a safety car, and I think that's nice to see that it's not happening anymore. But yeah, I think with the safety car, with the wing damage, I think it's you just learn to live with it. I think there was some front end downforce missing, so I had to kind of adjust my braking distances, adjust the lines that I was taking. And yeah, I think even with half a front wing, I was doing 43s towards dying stages on the hard tires. So I mean, yeah, it's fine. I had a good race.
In retrospect, then, a good race from you. Congratulations on P3. Let's move on to our driver of the day and possibly slightly unlucky in Moto P2. How are you feeling, man?
Yeah, that was a terrific battle actually. I fluffed qualifying. Like I came in with like really good hopes that I'd get pole or something, but well, then castle section happened. But then I kept it clean during the first stint in the hards, and then just made my way up the field and normal pickings from there.
Very well done from you. And Masum, if you have anything to ask.
Yeah, I mean, especially given I have to admit that it was very aggressive battle, a bit like Verstappen Leclerc from 2019, the battle between you and Tanish, and I agree that may have gotten a bit hairy at times, but it looked very feisty from us, and I think all the viewers really had enjoyed watching it. Are you looking forward to more battles with him, perhaps through the next races?
Yeah, I mean, that was a good race. Like I'm happy with my performance, but it could have been better. But I mean, obviously P1 is the one that matters. Everything below that is, just.
All right. Hopefully you'll get your first race win in Tier Season 6 soon. Now moving on to our final race winner, Tanish. Congrats, first race win in Tier 1, I believe. And how do you feel?
I mean, I don't know. It's just like it was unexpected while driving. The way Moto was pushing me, like he was literally putting me down the limits. But yeah, it was fun race. I was not expecting this. Yeah, I'm happy.
Yep. Excellent. Do you have anything to ask him? And of course, how did you enjoy the battle at Moto? As he mentioned, it was very on the edge. Once again, I think it's one of the best racing I've seen in IRC since I joined. Since I joined last year.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, I was fighting for the win, so it's not like I'm gonna easily let him go. Okay, I understand I was aggressive, but I have to like defend my position.
No, you were well within your right to do so, and I do think that the racing on display from both of you was absolutely fantastic. And you executed the strategy to brilliance, but do you think you benefited a lot from the numerous virtual safety cars and incidents that were happening around you? You were fairly unfazed by that.
I think it was the incidents, not the VSCs, which helped me, because like a lot of drivers got the chance to pit on the VSCs.
Well, fair enough. In the end, fantastic win from you there. Brilliant driving by both you and Motomoto, and Drucker also rounding off the podium. Thank you very much to three of you for joining us. And once again, brilliant driving.
Yep, I guess that's our stream for today, and I think thanks to all the viewers for tuning in today. And we'll be having the next week we'll be having I believe we have Nürburgring in ACC, followed by Japan in F1. And of course, for the rest of the weekend, we'll also have Tier 2 and Tier 3 races tomorrow. Tier 2 will be at 2:30 p.m. So Tier 3 will be 2:30 p.m. and Tier 2 will be at 8 p.m. So do tune in to watch that. If you thought the racers will definitely put on an equally good show tomorrow, and of course it's Baku, and it's definitely going to be an amazing race. So that's it. That's IRC for today, and let's see you guys tomorrow.
Good night.
Noise, what happened?